97.3 Citi FM. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. I am Sami Wiafe. Tonight I'm here with
Ejibi Wiafe Akente.
Coming up in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes.
We have today successfully passed the bill. We believe that this is the dawn of a new era where all students will be fairly treated.
Parliament passes Legal Education Bill 2025, paving way for major reforms in Ghana's legal education system. Tonight, we interrogate the bill. Also coming up on Eyewitness News.
The minority is formally considering a joint petition with civil society organizations, professional bodies, and concerned citizens on both the private jet arrangements and the Dahomey mine process.
Minority in Ghana's parliament to petition Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice charge over President John Dramani Maham's continuous use of his brother's private jet. And later,
today they have come, IGP has heard them. He has directed, among other things, that the CID, that is the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters, take over the investigations.
Criminal Investigations Department of the Police CID to investigate allegations of assault against renowned artist Ibrahim Mahama. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News. Also coming up in business.
SMEs urged to reform structures to attract patient capital.
Eyewitness News is live on our affiliates across the country, around the globe. We are on citinewsroom.com. You can join the conversation with your WhatsApp message. The number to send it to is 0539 986 996. 0539 986 996. Let's start from Parliament.
Parliament has passed the Legal Education Bill 2025, paving the way for significant reforms in the country's legal education system. A key provision of the legislation is the shift of the professional legal education and training program from the Ghana School of Law to accredited universities. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, the Majority Leader, Mahama Ayariga, noted that the passage of the bill fulfills the NDC's commitment to promoting equity, fairness, and improved access to legal education in Ghana.
This was a major campaign promise of the National Democratic Congress. And as has been typical of the National Democratic Congress, promises made are delivered. We've made promises and we are delivering on those promises. We promised law students that if they voted for us, we will carry out reforms that will ensure equity, fairness, and access to legal education. We have today successfully passed the bill. We believe that this is the dawn of a new era, where all students will be fairly treated. Whichever law school you go to, whichever law faculty you attend, all of us would end at the doors of the National Bar examination. All of us.
That was the Majority Leader in Parliament, Mahama Ayariga. However, the Minority Leader, Alexander Penyomakin, took a swipe at the NDC government, accusing it of failing to deliver on some of its key campaign promises. He argued that while the reform of legal education is important, the government must also demonstrate commitment to other critical pledges made to Ghanaians.
All of us have participated. This is not a bill that identified with a particular party. I concede, indeed, that they made it a campaign promise. I concede. And I'm happy that as leader of the House, he is sharing the success story of his government. Mr. Speaker, however, they equally promised that there will be women banking. Mr. Speaker, that they were going to set up a bank for women. Mr. Speaker, we're done with year 1. Year 2, we have not seen the women bank. 2, Mr. Speaker, they said that when they come into office, they would introduce 24-hour economy, 1 job, 3 shifts. Mr. Speaker, they said that Even if you are weeding at night, they will give you torchlight to weed.
Alexander Apenyomarkin is the minority leader in Parliament.
Let's get some reaction on this story and speak to a man who has a better understanding of Ghana's education system, especially Ghana's legal education system. And Kweku Ansah Asare, a former director of the Ghana School of Law, joins us on the phone for more. Mr. Asare, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. From the voice clip of the majority leader, Mahama Yarega, he says this is victory for all individuals who intend to pursue law in this country. Can we agree with him on that?
To a large extent, yes. Because until now, the only institution that had a statutory responsibility to train lawyers was the law school. Now that monopoly has been taken away. And therefore, the access to legal education has now been broadened. And I think if the majority leader said that is victory for Ghanaians, I agree with him.
That's right. Doesn't that mean that anybody who wants to pursue the legal path will not have hindrances like it used to be? The monopoly, as you said, has been broken, and so it broadens the space now. But then again, how do you argue with people who say that it's going to churn out more lawyers and may not be the best for the country?
No, not necessarily. What has been halted for now is the National Common Entrance Examination for admission to the Ghana School of Law. That has been halted. So with its abolition, what is going to happen is that the single door has now been, enlarged. So it's no longer, one law school, but many training centers. In other words, each law faculty can now train lawyers. However, that is not to suggest that there is not going to be any form of examination at all. No, it's been transferred to the completion point, of one's training to become a lawyer. So the entrance exam has ceased for now. We are going to have a national bar exam. So it is now at the end. It's like walking into a shop, and picking items on the shelves and taking, them to the pay point instead of paying, at points on the shelves. So now go to one pay point. Now again, let me use, the shop. Instead of one pay point, we are going to have many more pay points in the shop. And so if there are 18 law faculties are going to be responsible for the training, of future lawyers. When the lawyers, when the students have completed their legal education at the academic level and also the professional level, they will now all, qualify to write a common entrance examination for admission to practice at the Ghana bars. So still there's an exam, but no longer, at the point of entering the law school, but upon completion of, the legal training practice.
Okay. So then again, what then happens to the Ghana School of Law? Will it still run, and other universities will also run similar courses like what Ghana Law School will be running? Give us some education.
The law school, yes. The law school is a professional training point. So I think that what is going to happen is that the law school, will remain to train, professional lawyers. That responsibility has not been taken away. It is the monopoly that has been, removed. So the law school remains the Ghana School. And I think that the law school should never ever be abolished because it is Ghana's pride. The first law school in sub-Saharan Africa it will be a very sad mistake, very regrettable mistake, for anyone to suggest, that the law school, should be abolished. No, because, for Black Africa, that is, the flagship. It is the, Black Star of Africa, like the Ghana Black Stars. So I will support. I don't even like, to use the word that that the law school has been abolished. No, never. Should never ever, be abolished. For many years, that was Ghana's pride, and it should remain Ghana's pride as the first law school established in, sub-Saharan Africa for the training of lawyers. And most, West African, lawyers, were trained, under the aegis of the Ghana School of Law. And it will be a sad day, for anyone to suggest that the law school should be abolished. It is a monopoly, and I'm happy that the monopoly has been taken away. There were too many corrupt practices, the past 20 years, or so. It didn't, exist in my time that, people, will clamor at the doors of the law school, to plead and beg, and no, you finished, your LLB Legon, and then you proceed, so we used to call it the fourth year. You proceed, to the fourth. You do 3 years in Legon, you proceed to Makola to do the fourth and the fifth year. So law was 5 years. The duration was 5 years. Year 1, year 2, year 3, 4th year, and 5th year. Then, because of the increasing numbers and the failure, of government to expand the frontiers of legal education, the law school became monopolistic and, held, its way over, everybody. And we shouted from the rooftop that should stop. It was very bad practice, for the law school, to take money, from people who wished to study law. We have to say these things, so that in future we will never ever have to return, to what has just been removed. I'm happy, for people, who will now wish to study law. The stress, the mere mention of the Ghana School of Law admission or entrance exam scared many people away. Many brilliant minds, couldn't even, make an attempt to write because of, the scare that, they will feel and people will laugh at them. That, has now come to an end. And I think that no political party in Ghana should ever, interfere with what has just, taken place. It's victory for the whole nation. And I think, it's been a bipartisan thing. For the first time, both, houses, agreed. So all shades of political opinion in Parliament, took part, in this monumental step. And I salute them. That whether NDC or MPP, they've all agreed that for, the nonsense that used, to occur some years ago has been taken away. If it had been done, under CPP or MPP or this thing, but they couldn't do it. And NDC has come, to do it. And I think for many years to come, the NDC government will be praised for taking this bold step to, reshape the frontiers of legal education in this country.
That's right. What then happens to the General Legal Council with the passage of this bill to law? What happens to the General Legal Council now? Is it still relevant?
Well, the General Legal Council was established by virtue of the Legal Profession Act, 1960 Act 32. That act has not repealed, and therefore the General Legal Council will continue to function as the General Legal Council. However, some of its statutory duties have been taken away. For instance, the statutory responsibility for appointing director of the law school has been taken away. It's now being vested in the newly established Legal Education Committee pursuant to the enactment of the Legal Education Reform, bill. And I think that it's better for the General Legal Council, because I used to argue, some time ago, that the General Legal Council didn't have what it takes to administer legal education, and that the responsibility of legal education must be entrusted into the hands of those who have been trained to teach law students and intending lawyers. That is the law lectures, and therefore if the General Legal Council is now being saddled with the sole responsibility of enrollment, that is good. That has not been taken away. So the General Legal Council will continue to enroll lawyers. So that seems to me to be its key statutory responsibility now. So the legal education, the National Council for Legal Education, doesn't have any statutory function to enroll lawyers. So that continues to reside in the General Legal Council. So the General Legal Council has not been abolished. It is still there. But it's, some of its functions, not all the functions, some, the functions. So it ceases to appoint, the director of the law school. It will now cease to appoint the chief accountant of the law school. It will no longer appoint the registrar of the law school. All these functions have been, taken away and vested in the National Council for Legal Education.
Sorry, if all these functions, as you mentioned, the appointment of the director, the accountant, and all these are being chopped off from the council, it weakens the council then, and it is better for it to go than still remain. No,
it doesn't weaken the council. You see, the General Legal Council has had a checkered history. It was established in 1958 under the Legal Profession Act of 1958. That was repealed. That act was repealed in 1960, by Act 32, and the functions then absorbed into the General Legal Council as established pursuant to Act 32. So the question one wish to ask is, what was the key responsibility as far as legal education was concerned? That the General Legal Council, so I will now say the General Legal Council under Act 32 was only to look for space to train lawyers, to look for space. So in our history, since independence, this is the first time that the law school is being established. So the Ghana Law School, administered by the General Legal Council, was not established by law. This is the first time that we are going to have a National Council for Legal Education established by law to administer legal education. We didn't have it before. This is the first time. So the General Legal Council never established the Ghana School of Law. All that it did was to look for space where future lawyers will be trained. Now, the General Legal Council under Act 32 had the responsibility to provide continuing legal education for magistrates and judges. That was pursuant to Act 32. That function will now be the core. As far as legal education is concerned, continuing legal education remains vested in the General Legal Council. So this is the time that the General Legal Council, must get up its loins and pursue continuing legal education programs, for magistrates and judges and lawyers, so that once you are enrolled, your subsequent licensing and continuing legal education will now be provided. It will be in the hands of the General Legal Council. So there will be a terminating point The Council for Legal Education will be responsible for the training, of both the academic and professional, phases of an intending lawyers program. Once that is, exhausted, the General Legal Council will now continue, to license. The General Legal Council remains the only body, to grant licenses, to lawyers. And until you get a license, you cannot practice. That has not been taken away. So some of the major responsibilities of the General Legal Council, have not been interfered with. Only the training, of professional lawyers has been taken away.
Thank you very much
by
for your
a
time.
body now established by law.
Okay, all right. Mr. Weku Ansah, thank you very much for your time. Former Director, Ghana School of Law, speaking to us there. We're able to speak to the majority chief whip, Roxy Nelson Dafiamekpo, on this same matter. Be unable to reach him as of now. As and when we reach him, we'll also speak to him on the passage of the Legal Bill 2025. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we have more stories.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Momo. It has made life happen in lots of good ways.
Mr. Kwanzaa, Minsaka insurance claim no.
It has put together beautiful weddings. It has filled the bellies of boys at their favorite watchy joint.
My guy, stop. Who they chop cancel these days?
It has made millions of businesses possible.
Minsaka no. We are back in business.
With just a few taps, money moves faster, easier, and safer. Momo understands the weight of your trust in us. We continuously enhance security with features like self-paying research to help you protect your money. Momo will only call you with 0244 300,000. No MTN or Momo staff will call or ask for your PIN or one-time password. Do not transfer funds to anyone whose identity you have not verified. Do not approve any prompts you have not initiated. Momo, still Munsaka.
Kuma has always dreamt of commanding his own military forces.
Attention! Eyes right, stand at ease.
Because that dream is still a vision in progress, he spends his time commanding his money with the EcoBank mobile app.
Operation Supplier Payment. Dispatch 1,000 units of currency from Accra to Benin. Move! Move!
Sometimes he wants a little extra control so that he can buy only what he needs.
Command Center mobile app. Activate virtual card protocol and initiate payments for sneakers and t-shirts. Abort mission for leather coat payment.
Even when the general is fast asleep, his standing order marches out to sort his bills. With the EcoBank mobile app, you can command your money to make safe transactions in Ghana and across 33 African countries. Download the EcoBank mobile app on the Play or App Store today.
By the left, about turn.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. EcoBank will never call or send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. A few of your WhatsApp messages. Daniel from Sandema says, I commend the National Democratic Congress for walking the talk by passing the Legal Education Bill to promote equity and fairness in legal education in Ghana. This bold and necessary step expands access and opens the door of legal education to all. Akapoina from him says, I hope the passage of the Legal Education Bill into law will not compromise the quality of legal education in the country. Accredited institutions must do well to offer quality teaching so as to promote quality but not quantity. Abi National Inwa says this is good governance, but for the minority, the less you talk about them, the better. Let's move on to some other stories.
The minority in parliament has raised concerns over President Mahama's use of his brother Ibrahim Mahama's private jet, citing a potential conflict of interest. They argue the move contradicts the president's own code of conduct for government appointees, particularly amid allegations of Ibrahim Mahama's involvement in the Damine mines. The ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee, Kweku Amprechum Sapon, has been addressing journalists on the matter.
The president has a relational interest in his brother's business success as a matter of family loyalty. He has a material interest in the continuation of a travel arrangement that provides him with free use of a $70 million pristine aircraft. He presides over the executive machinery that will determine whether that same brother receives Ghana's most commercially significant gold mine. The government now says that there are 3 bidders in the acquisition of the Amai mine. Engineers and Planners, that is owned by his brother, BCM International, and Vortex Resources. We are told the process is fair. We are told the criteria exist. We are told the law is being followed. But we demand answers to each of the following questions. When was the tender formally initiated? What is the official date on which the LI 2076 Regulation 257 to 260 were triggered? And what documentation exists? Number 2, what are the evaluation criteria? Section 11 of Act 703 and LI 2176 tender regulations require financial and technical capacity to be assessed against prescribed benchmarks. What are these benchmarks? Who determined the benchmarks? Were they set before or after EMP advantages became apparent?
Kweku Amprechum Sapon added that the caucus will petition the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice (SHRAJ) over President Mahama's use of his brother's private jet.
Under Article 287 clause 1 of our Constitution, any person may petition SHRAJ to investigate violation of Chapter 24. The minority is formally considering a joint petition with civil society organizations, professional bodies, and concerned citizens on both the private jet arrangements and the Damai mine process as 2 manifestations of the same constitutional breach. The NPP, when it forms the next government in 2029, 7th January, will conduct a full forensic review of every aspect of this transaction: the private conduct, Commission's internal communications, the tender committee deliberations, the financing arrangements, the mobilization timeline, and every contract and letter exchanged. Those who manipulated this process will be identified. Those who benefited illegitimately will be held to account.
That was the ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee, Kweku Amprechum Sapon.
Let's go on to the phone line and speak to Vitus Azim. He's an anti-corruption campaigner on these issues raised by the minority in Ghana's parliament. Mr. Azim, good evening, and thank you very much for your time. The minority believes that there's an issue of conflict of interest here, and so SHRAJ should investigate this matter. Your reaction to this, sir?
Well, they've already sent the thing to SHRAJ to determine whether it's a conflict of interest or not. But from my perspective, it is just the use of the aircraft, the jet, the private jet of his brother. There are 3 types of conflict of interest. The actual conflict of interest. For now, I'm not sure that has been established. The other 2 things are perceived conflict of interest. That's what they are talking about. Just because he is a brother of the president has given him his personal jet to use, it could be seen as a conflict of interest. And then the potential conflict of interest. If tomorrow the brother of the president goes to tell the minister that, look, I gave my jet to the president to use, so please do me this favor. That's where the potential conflict of interest exists. And so the perceived and the potential conflict, you cannot rule it out. But the actual, I don't think that for now they have established any conflict of interest issue involving the use of the jet.
The minority is of the view that because of the use of the jet is more or less going to help his brother get some contracts from government. And so the issue of conflict of interest will come here, according to the minority, is that for the use of the jet, the government will then be lenient in awarding some lucrative contract to his brother, which is Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, because of the jet.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying, that until that has happened, you cannot say it's actual conflict of interest. The potential is there, but until that has happened, they cannot conclude that there's a conflict of interest. That's why I talk about the actual conflict of interest, the potential conflict of interest, and the perceived conflict of interest. So for now, you can talk about the perceived conflict of interest and the potential conflict of interest.
So for now, it is only Shraj that can really establish which specific conflict of interest here.
Yes, I think Shraj has the legal right to establish that. The rest of us are talking based on our personal opinions.
That's what I've also said, and I've heard government communicators defend the use of the jet. They believe that in as much as government is not paying for it, government is only paying for just fuel, but they're not paying for the use of the jet. It's not really an issue. You know, we are just making, excuse my language, noise out of nothing really.
No, you see, the argument the majority is raising is not about cost. They're not saying that you are paying for it or that the conflict of interest arises because he has gone to rent. If the president had rented that jet from the brother, that's where you be talking about the actual conflict of interest. But for now, they are just talking about the possible conflict of interest. And if it has been given to them, to him to use just to refuel and maybe take care of the crew, that one, I don't think that you can establish that the conflict of interest or actual conflict of interest exists. That's the point that I'm making.
Sure, I get you. But isn't the continuous use of the jet by the president, which is owned by his brother, a difficulty in government maybe refusing him, any offer from this administration? That's where the difficulty for many people is coming from.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. You see, because if, for example, the jet goes to get involved in a serious problem that requires huge sums of money to repair, whose responsibility will it be to repair it? Maybe there's insurance, but what is the coverage of the insurance? So yeah, there are possible problems that can arise. But again, we also need to look at do some cost-benefit analysis. If the president had not used his brother's jet and gone to rent a commercial vehicle as Nana Addo used to do, how much is the government of Ghana today saving from that when you compare to what Nana Addo used to do or not? Can you compare that to the security of the president? You don't want our president to use an old jet and go and crash and die. You know that it's very expensive for a president of the country to die. So you need to look at the benefits and cost-benefit analysis and decide which is better. And I think that the executive, the presidency, with its special advisors and assistants, should be able to do that analysis and advise the president on what he should do. But of course, there are the potential problems that can arise.
Sazim, away from this private jet issue and Shraj, I heard you today at a forum saying that the media should do more in the fight against corruption. And this forum, I'm talking about the National Forum on Media and the Fight Against Corruption. You feel the media is not doing enough in this fight, or there's more we need to do?
I wouldn't say that you're not doing enough, but there's more you need to do. You see, there are a number of media houses that are doing quite well. But you also agree that there are some media houses that are too partisan. When there's an issue, like you're talking about the president's use of the brother's jet, opposition-affiliated media houses will quickly just jump to conclusions without even studying the details of the whole arrangement and coming out to condemn it. That is not helping the fight against corruption. Or government-affiliated media houses just jump to defend the president's use of the jet. That is not helping the fight against corruption. So some media houses are doing something, but some of them are not doing enough. They need to change our approach, such that if we all see corruption as a serious phenomenon in this country, we should put aside our party interests and look at the state Ghana as something that we should all fight for to curb corruption.
You've also asked the media to boycott, some events which you believe is a waste of time. And why would you ask the media to take such a decision or make such moves?
Because if it is something that we don't see the need for it, why should we just go to encourage? You see, that's why we talk about fighting against corruption. So if you arrest somebody because the fellow has been accused of corruption, and our parliamentarians can abandon parliament and go and sit to picket, there are ordinary party soldiers that should be doing those things. But for parliamentarians who are being paid to make laws for this country, to abandon their work and go and sit at Eyoko to picket, because one individual is not a whole party, it's an individual that has been arrested by Eyoko. I think that those are frivolities that we should ignore as a media house.
Mr. Azim, you agree with that the media is there to provide coverage and inform Ghanaians or inform people. And so if a decision like this is taken and the whole minority, for example, may want to go and sit at Yoko because a member of their party is involved in an issue with the law, you don't think the media should give such coverage because it is news? I'm not defending the media, but I'm just citing an example.
Whether it is somebody from the opposition or somebody from the ruling government, that if the fellow has been accused of corruption and arrested for having engaged in corruption, I think that the media should not spend their time going to waste, because you are going to report nationally. You should not waste the time of all Ghanaians the reporting on such a thing. Part of the problem is to discourage such acts. So it's not just because you don't support that political party or that event, but also you want to discourage such acts in the future because they are working against the fight against corruption. And that was the point that I was making. I give the example. I give the example that in some countries, when a company is seen to be engaging in corrupt acts, people boycott their goods. They don't deal with them at all. And that's what we need to start doing as a contribution towards the fight against corruption.
Mr. Azim, what about other state institutions? Because in the fight against corruption, the media has its role to play, but then there are state agencies mandated by law to deal with this fight or deal with this issue of corruption. Would you assess their performance and say they've also done well?
I wouldn't say that they have done well. They haven't done enough. They haven't met the expectations of most Ghanaians. Maybe some of them are not putting in the public domain what they are doing. But what we have in the public domain, I don't think that we can boast that they have met the expectations of most Ghanaians. They need to sit up. You see, I've always said that when it comes to assessing the performance of anti-corruption agencies, you are looking for the number of successful prosecutions, the amount of money they have recovered from illegally stolen wealth, and others. And none of these institutions you're talking about can boast that this so much money we've recovered from illegally money taking, or we've had so many successful prosecutions. Of course, for prosecution, they say, well, there are a number of cases in court, and it's no longer left to those institutions, it's left to the judiciary. But we could even include the judiciary as an anti-corruption institution, because they are the final arbiter in any legal issues. So when you look at all that, you see, when cases go and lie down in the judiciary for several months, then also they do have a blame to take.
When we talk about corruption, one institution that comes to mind readily is the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It has come under fire in recent times over the performance of that office. From where you sit as an anti-corruption crusader, you think the Office of the Special Prosecutor has done enough for us to get the confidence that indeed it is the right organization to help deal with corruption and corruption-related offenses?
First, you asked a general question, and I said no. They haven't met the expectations of many Ghanaians. And the Office of Special Prosecutor is one of those anti-corruption institutions. So this question is a duplicate.
I'm sorry to cut you, but I'm
They have not met the expectations of most Ghanaians.
They have not met?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Especially the way the expectations were raised at the time that the office was created.
Mr. Azim, I'll say a big thank you for your time, sir. Vitus
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Is an anti-corruption campaigner and speaking to us there. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service to investigate allegations of assault against renowned artist Ibrahim Mahama.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Momo. It has made life happen.
Go. Gugomi. At what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car. Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action. No, Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make I feel the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
This damn patch again. Ebo, look at this wall. Every few months, the same damn patch comes back. I've painted it twice already. What is all this?
Kofi, you can't fight moisture with paint too. The problem is inside the building itself.
Yes. So what can I do? The house is already finished.
Simple. Gasem Super Strong Waterproof Cement. It's a new cement with built-in water protection technology. Water protection.
Yes. So it's just for repairs.
No, my friend. That's the difference. Use it to fix dampness and seepage. Or use it for new buildings, foundation, block work, plastering. One cement that builds and protects.
Wow. Gasm Super Strong Waterproof Cement. The one cement that builds and protects. Build it right once. Gasm, the nation builder.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. You're also listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. A few of your WhatsApp messages. Kwejo Bruni says, what then happens to the Independent Examination Committee of the General Legal Council as the new Legal Education Bill has been passed? Kindly ask of the Independent Examination Committee because IEC is the body mandated to conduct all examinations of the legal profession per the LI 2355. Jones Adobo in La says, good evening, Sammy. The minority's allegation against the president is dead on arrival. They are just making noise without any legal basis. They should prove the conflict of interest. Kingpin Panye. Now in Adabaka said, why has the MPP set their eyes on Ibrahim Mahama, who did their family and friends helped in power, and they should give us a break. This is Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. Remember, Eyewitness News is only live from here. It's also live on our affiliates across the country. Which other affiliates are taking Eyewitness News?
In the Upper West region, we're live on Tupani Radio 88.5 FM in Nadoli, Jirapa 96.1 FM, and in the Upper East region, tune in to Recast 92.1 FM in Bongo Namu, Mike 105.3 FM in Avrongo, Bolga 102.7 FM in Bolgatanga. In the northern region, we're live on North Star Radio 92.1 FM in Tamale. The northeast region, tune in to Nobia 98.1 FM in Nalerigo. In the western region, it's Beach 105.5 FM and Sky 93.5 FM both in Takrade. In the Ashanti region, we're live on Focus 94.3 FM and Orange 107.9 FM in Kumase. In the Volta region, tune in to Sela Radio 97.1 FM and Holy 98.5 FM in Aplawo. In the Savannah region, we're live on Kasha 99.5 FM in Damongo. Now to some other stories. Police investigations into the alleged assault on renowned visual artist Ibrahim Mahama has been escalated to the National Police Headquarters in Accra. This development follows a meeting between the Inspector General of Police and the artist. The incident is reported to have occurred in Tamale on March 21, allegedly involving a group believed to be part of the IGP Special Operations Team. However, the team led by DSP Abdul Bawajalil has strongly denied any involvement in the alleged assault. Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, DCOP Grace Ansa Akrofi, spoke to the media after the meeting.
As we speak, the regional command has done a lot of investigations so far. They've taken statements from Mr. Ibrahim and his team. They have visited the scene. They visited to check up on him at his residence. Today, they have come. IGP has heard them. He has directed, among other things, that the CID, that is the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters, take over the investigations. He has also directed the Director General Police Professional Standards Bureau to expedite action on the investigation. Our assurance to Mr. Ibrahim Mahama is that the police are willing to work with him throughout the investigation process till we get to the end of it, and we have assured him of a thorough investigation, and any persons found culpable will be taken through the due process of the law. So
That was Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, DCOP Grace Ansa Akrofi. Now, the National Peace Council has condemned recent tensions in the Nkwanta South municipality, which has led to the death of 5 persons. The Ghana Police Service has since deployed additional security personnel to the municipality. Speaking to Citi News, the Public Relations Officer of the Peace Council, Kwesi Renchi, urged residents in the area to maintain calm as the police proceeds with further investigations.
When things like this happen, the question is that how do we make sure that it does not repeat itself? As I said before, none of us have any problem against the Ghana Police Service. The Ghana Police Service has been very kind to us, even in the work that we've done in Tamale over the years, in transporting the trains and the airplanes and all these other things. The police have actually escorted us and helped us with so many things. And even sometimes they come around Redclay in the night to patrol and all that. Or sometimes the entire police force from different regions, they come to Redclay to even see the work that we're doing, the cultural work that we're doing. So we don't have any problem. It's that specific unit that assaulted us that we want to make sure that at least some kind of justice is served. We are not looking for compensation. We are not looking for money. Obviously, I don't need that. And it's not about that. It's more just about justice. Just to make sure that at least people understand because we're all in the country and democracy. So we just want to understand what is happening and see how we can solve it. So that when other people are outside elsewhere and things like this happen, at least they are sure that in the country that they live in, the matter will be taken seriously.
Public Relations Officer of the National Peace Council, Kwesi Renchi. Now, the final funeral rites and burial for the 2 brothers, Captain Frank Amwenyi Donko and Elijah Ofori Donko, who died in the microlight crash, are scheduled for Saturday, March 28, 2026. The crash, which claimed 2 lives on Monday, March 16, left teachers and pupils traumatized and led to the closure of the TMA Daycare Center. The ceremony will take place at the forecourt of the State House in Accra. Meanwhile, the mayor of Tema has disclosed that the TMA Daycare Center is likely to reopen on Monday, March 30. Tema Mayor Ibi Bright noted that teachers, pupils, residents, and all affected persons have been given psychological support through the Mental Health Authority. We do want to bring you that insert in our subsequent bulletin, but the Ghana Traditional Council has announced a ban on noise making from May 4 to June 4 ahead of the annual Homo Festival. The ban, which applies across the Ghana state, prohibits activities such as the use of microphones, clapping, tambourines, and other musical instruments. Announcing the directive, the president of the Gadangwe Council, Ni Ayikwoi Otu, urged residents and visitors to comply.
I present to you a notice on the ban on drumming and noise making for this year 2026. The Ghana Traditional Council hereby informs the general public that as part of the customary rites leading to the celebration of the annual Omowo Festival, there will be a ban on drumming and noise making within the jurisdiction of the Ghana State from Monday 4th May 2026 to Thursday 4th May June 2026. I'll repeat, from Monday 4th May 2026 to Thursday 4th June 2026. Please note that as part of Gadangme custom, since Homowa is not celebrated on the same day throughout the Ghana states.
Ni Ayukoi Otu is president of the Gadangme Council.
Also listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. Up next is Citi Business News. And remember, it's brought to you by Republic Bank. We are the one for you. Join the Republic Verse. Do more, shine more, big up.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Mr. Kojo, 1 minute before you go to work. The AC you said you want to fix, it won't work.
Why?
Because the electrician will come and chisel my wall. It will make my building weak. Wait, is that a puppy? No animals in my house,
Kojo knows all the challenges about renting. That was his reality until he discovered Republic Bank. With Republic Bank's flexible mortgage solutions, you can move from tenant to homeowner quickly. Imagine stepping into your own home, a place for your family to grow and create memories. Big up. Join the Republic Verse. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ejibiyafe Akintin. Let's settle for the details. Finance Minister Dr. Casey Ataforsen has assured investors that Ghana's economy is firmly on a recovery path underpinned by improving macroeconomic fundamentals and disciplined fiscal management. Speaking at the Ministry of Finance first investor town hall engagement since 2021, Dr. Ataforsen highlighted significant progress made in stabilizing the economy and restoring confidence in the country's debt markets. He also underscored ongoing reforms to deepen transparency and strengthen investor confidence.
I can assure you that we have taken some significant steps to reform the way we do things and to make sure that going into the future, what we have seen in recent past does not happen again. Some of the things we've done, the reforms we've put in place, we have engraved them in law to the extent that this will ensure irreversibility. So I've said to the team here at the Ministry of Finance that never again should Ghana default in the servicing of our debt. As a result, you can see the steps we have taken is pointing to a track record of fiscal and debt discipline. This track record is there for all of you to see. You could see, obviously, from 17th of February 2025, some of the steps we've taken here. We were able to pay about 6 billion Ghana cedis in coupon. That fell due during the period, and this is made up of cash and PIKs. On the 16th of June 2025, Fitch upgraded Ghana long-term foreign currency rating from restricted default to B- with a stable outlook. On the 3rd of July 2025, government settled 350 million euro bond obligation. Then on the 7th of July 2025, IMF completed fourth review of the extended credit facility arrangement.
Finance Minister Dr. Casey Ataforsen, now country managing partner at KPMG, Andrew Osei Akoto, has called on small and medium-sized enterprises to realign their operating modules to better position themselves for patient capital. Speaking during a panel discussion at the second day of the Ghana Exim Bank at 10 International Conference, he observed that a significant number of SMEs continue to operate informally.
Most of our SMEs, as we know, are quite informal, and for that matter, operating with governance structures that are not matured to the extent that they are even able to produce credible reports and financial projections upon which those capitals can be matched. Okay, so it becomes very necessary for them to make sure that they tweak their operating models to incorporate some qualified personnel that bring credibility to their operating processes and structure their governance structures in such a way that there is credibility.
Country Managing Partner at KPMG, Andrew Osei Akoto. Innovations such as mobile money and artificial intelligence have transformed financial access, bringing millions into the formal banking system and improving commerce. But this rapid digitalization has also exposed the sector to more sophisticated cybersecurity threats. It is on the back of this that the Bank of Ghana has revised its cybersecurity framework to protect the industry. Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama at the launch admitted that these threats are no longer isolated IT issues but systemic risk with broader implications for financial stability.
The Bank of Ghana therefore recognized this shift years ago. The first directive that was later issued in 2018, this laid the groundwork. But we must be honest, a framework that is designed for the challenges of 2018 in no way can it adequately solve the problems of today, now that we are in 2026. The threat landscape has changed, and so must we. We have moved beyond simple compliance towards a posture of active and collective cyber resilience. Active and collective cyber resilience. Now, on the Cybersecurity Act and our mandate, this proactive stance is not just a matter of policy. It is a matter of law.
Dr. Johnson Esiama is Bank of Ghana's governor. Leading business figure Sam Jonah has raised alarm over what he calls growing political interference in Ghana's insurance industry. He maintains that it threatens the industry's integrity and public trust. Speaking at the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana's annual conference, he warned that contracts and insurance portfolios are increasingly influenced by politics rather than merit or performance.
There's a growing and deeply troubling pattern of political and socio-economic interference in the conduct of insurance business in Ghana. This is not a new phenomenon. We have lived with it in the shadows for years. What was once an occasional disruption has, in the judgment of many who know the industry well, become something more systemic, more embedded, more dangerous. Contracts are cancelled not on the basis of performance or merit, but because of political contracts or direction. Insurance portfolios, particularly those of state enterprises, are moved not through competitive tender or professional selection, but through personal access and political leverage. Brokers and insurers are compelled to accept placements they openly acknowledge they do not have the capacity to manage. Premiums are loaded fraudulently without actuarial basis, without any genuine assessment of risk.
That was Sam Jonah, a leading business executive in Ghana. Now, the 24-Hour Economy Secretariat has introduced the Neofingo Digital Trade Finance Corridor platform designed to improve access to trade finance for Ghanaian SMEs across Africa and beyond. The initiative aims to bridge Ghana's trade financing gap, currently estimated at $7 billion annually. Speaking to the media, Chief Program Officer at the Secretariat, Abdul Nesa Alidu Suglo, noted that the platform will enhance the digitization of trade processes, making it easier for SMEs to participate in both regional and international markets.
The idea of Neofingo is to create a platform or a protocol that allows small and medium businesses to also be able to participate effectively in international trade. Trade is one of the most important parts of this 24-hour economy program. The 24-hour economy program is focused on transforming the Ghanaian economy. Part of that transformation is increasing exports so that we can earn the foreign exchange that we need to fund our growth. If we can get SMEs to participate in trade, we diversify the export base, we ensure that we are creating more jobs, and importantly, we retain a lot of the value in Ghana.
Abdul Nesa Alidu Suglo is the Chief Program Officer at the 24-Hour Economy Secretariat. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. Brought to you by Republic Bank, where the one for you. Join the Republic verse, do more, shine more, big up. I am Ejubi Biafe Akinti. Many thanks for listening. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time when you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action no. Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. One pair way now open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my go be fast then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the go be too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Introducing Yomi Pina Colada and Peach, our newest addition to the Yomi family. Life is full of choices, so here are more Yomi flavors to spoil you for choice. Go on, choose great taste, choose nourishment, choose the new Yomi Yogurt Pina Colada and Peach. And always remember that the choices we make today shape our tomorrow. Yomi, a nourishing choice. Yomi Yogurt Pina Colada and Peach. More quality products from Amigo Ghana Limited. This advert is FDA approved.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, and this is Point Blank. My guest tonight on Point Blank is Dr. Frederick Apo. He's the CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Authority. In recent times, railway workers have been demonstrating, protesting over the non-payment of their salary arrears. They say for the past 14 months, they have not been paid. Even yesterday, there was a protest at the Ministry of Transport demanding immediate payment of the arrears. Tonight, the CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Authority is my guest to explain why they owe the workers for 14 months. Dr. Frederick Apo is my guest tonight. Doc, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, good evening, Sammy, for having me.
Why haven't you paid your workers for 14 months? Hey!
Well, let me explain. Greetings to your viewers. And let me start from here. You see, when this government was inaugurated in 7th January 2025, the Ghana Railway Company Limited, they are the operating arm, the state operating arm of that. I'm the chief executive of the authority responsible for development. The issue was that they were in salary arrears from September 2024. Okay. The government was inaugurated 7th of January 2025. If you look at functional ministers' appointments, CEOs, so let's say effective working time of this government was from maybe March or April. Yeah. They were already in about 8 months salary arrears. Look at what we did. The Minister of Transport, led by Honorable Joseph Nipe, took some initiatives. The first thing he did was to invite all the workers of the Ghana Railway Company Limited. That's including the unions and the management. We have an MD who is responsible, including myself, and we looked at the situation. When the minister came into office, he was informed that there were 1,300 workers. So the minister wanted to at least understand the total number of workers at the operating at the Ghana Railway Company Limited. So an audit was initiated. When the audit was conducted, they realized that they had 960 workers.
Instead of the 1,000 something.
300 workers. This is according to this. We have the documentation that proves that. So this audit has to be conducted. It was done by PwC. Okay. So once the audit was completed, this was back in, let's say, August. We then initiated an approach to work with the Minister of Finance for their payment. I would say through the work of His Excellency the President, the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Transport, and the Deputy Minister of Transport, 10 million cedis was released for payment, which paid up to 4 months' salary of the Ghana Railway Company Limited workers. And let me be blunt here. You know, we have 960 workers who are absolutely not doing anything. Of course, we've got some of the workers here who are basically operating the Tema and Accra twice daily. Okay, some of them want to work, but largely most of them, they don't have the trains, and obviously they are staying at home. So the whole thing is that every month we are accumulating 2.8 million cedis every month. Every month, yes. So every month the government accumulates 2.8 million cedis. So we have to also come up with innovative ideas to how to pay these workers. So what we also did as part of the authority, the Ministry of Transport, together with the, of course, blessing from the high office, was to look at what can we raise as an asset. We are the asset owners. So we decided to sell some of our scraps to raise revenue to pay these workers, of which we raised 21.6 million. But the committee responsible for ensuring this exercise informed the ministry together with the GRDA that at least 10 million of those monies paid by the contractors, they didn't get any of the consignment. So when the money goes as well, the money has to go into what we call NTR account, non-tax revenue account, which is account held by Ministry of Finance, per the procurement law. You can't sell government assets and put the money in your pocket. It must go into that. So that reconciliation process took some time, because of course you've got two contractors that are claiming that they didn't get a consignment, but they've paid. So literally that reconciliation is what delayed the process. But before that, I also visited my brothers and sisters at Ghana Railway Company Limited. This was in Takoradi, and we had a heart-to-heart conversation to look at what could be done to address the salary arrears. And I told them that, look, the money have been paid. We have received 21.6 million, but the ministry was going through a reconciliation process. And I'm happy to announce that yesterday, the Minister of Finance signed the release of 11.6 million that will be has been sent to the Ministry of Transport sub-CF to pay our brothers and sisters at Ghana Railway Company Limited. Let me point this out.
And the 11.6,
yes.
Which months will it settle?
No, yes, 11.6 will take up to about 7 months if we are looking at the entire workers. But strategically, we need to sit down with the Trade Union Congress Secretary. We need to sit down with the Union Secretary of the Railways, and we need to also sit down with the Minister of Transport to look at a tailored approach, and Labour Commission to look at the best way of actually doing this. Okay, so the key thing is that, yes, the good news is 11.6 million cedis have been released, but we need to look at strategically how this money is going to be dispersed out in order not to have a recurring problem. So that is something that we are working on. At the same time, together with the minister and the GRDA, we are also looking at how best we can also raise additional revenue from what we call the scraps that we have to also bolster the amount that we currently have, which is 11.6. Because 11.6 is not enough to pay for everybody. But we can strategically apply that to take care of some of at least reach the threshold of paying up to 70 or 80% of selected members of the Ghana Railway Company Limited. But this is what we are trying to do, and the government has done so far. You see, when His Excellency the President came into office, we inherited a sector which was basically non-functional. We had Tema to Impakaran was constructed, of course. President Mahama secured a loan in November 2016. The government lost power, of course. His Excellency President Akufo-Addo came, constructed the line, but the line was officially operated by His Excellency the President. So, between that time, we didn't have, from January 2027 to October 2027, we had to put in the operational strategy, maintenance strategy, the rule book, do all the rectification work on Tema to Impakadan, and operationalize it. Today we have railway working. Okay, we are currently doing 6,782 passengers per week on the Tema to Impakadan.
Okay,
which is great.
Yeah,
we didn't have that, and we are bringing the cargo transport in, the container transport, God willing, end of maybe Q2 of this year. So hopefully by July, August, we have container freight and freight cargo operating 24/7 on the line. So we are going to run the passenger service during the daytime, and the evening we are going to run the cargo service. And this is in line with the flagship policy of His Excellency the President of the 24-hour economy. Things are happening, but of course, we are also have to look at the competing interests of the government. So a lot of people are saying, what is happening in the world? A lot is happening. Okay, we have also basically repaired the Kojokrom secondary train. That train has been parked for since November 2023. Okay, His Excellency the President during the first term invested $165 million, including the acquisition and procurement of those locomotives. These were parked as of November 2023, not working. Today we have repaired one of the trains, and what we are going to do is that we are also Ghana Railway Authority. We are going to absorb some of our brothers and sisters from Ghana Railway Authority, Ghana Railway Company Limited. So these people will then go straight away and work on the operationalization of the secondary Kojokrom train, so they can earn revenue. Yeah. So these 138 people will not be accounted for in the 11.6 because we want to put them on a salary straight away. Okay. So they will start working and operating the Kojokrom secondary trains. We have repaired that. That repair has been done. So, we need to understand that where we are picking up in terms of improvement in the sector. It will not happen overnight. It's a gradual process amid the competing resource constraint that we find ourselves in. But look, I share the sympathy of our brothers who are there, and I am always honest with them that we are one sector. Okay, we are one sector. We have only 135 kilometers of railway line in Ghana. Yes, Ghana, we have 97 standard gauge railway line from Tema to Impakadan, and we have basically 23 kilometers from Kojokrom, from Takoradi Port to Kojokrom. Okay, we have also, of course, constructed up to 42 kilometers of standard gauge railway line in the Western region, where Amani Investment Limited are working on it, but this line is not functional yet. Okay, so if you look at it, Ghana has just roughly 135. If we consider Tema to Accra line as part of it, there is no way globally that you have 135 kilometers of railway line that can sustain over 1,200 workers. If you combine Ghana Railway Development Authority workers together with Ghana Railway Company.
Why are you then keeping them?
Yes. So we are now looking at the best way of addressing it, and we are addressing that through the unions. There are labor laws. So we need to do that in conjunction with Trade Union Congress, together with the National Labour Commission, the Ministry of Transport, to ensure that we will be able to rationalize the workforce, and at the same time try as much as possible from the policy point of view, which is being led by my able minister, to look at how best we can more or less subsume some of these workers into Ghana Railway Authority. Then we become a single unit, because basically it's like having a 3-story building and having 2 people living in it. It's pointless, it's not inefficient and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's what we are looking at addressing. But this government is working hard to address the salary arrears problems. We have through the leadership of the President, and of course the Minister of Transport, Minister of Finance, 11.6 million has been released for their payment. And I hope this will be targeted to ensure that we can do it in trenches or in phases, so that at least those who want to stay and work will then be able to, substitute them into the authority.
But then, Doc, the conversation then comes about sustainability, because when you have rails that's not working and you have such a large force, it means every month you incur debt.
Yes, we are incurring.
In terms of payments of their salary. What then do you do? Well, the last time I spoke to Benjamin Suma, I think he's the General Secretary of the Union, he said the best way to go is get private investors or private investments to help, this situation. Are there plans to get private investors in this?
Yes. If you listen to the State of the Nation address, His Excellency the President made it clear that we are seeking for a BOT. That has been the plan. Since I've been in the office, I've been working tirelessly, meeting investors, going to investors forum, pitching. But of course, to reach a financial close for railway infrastructure minimum can take 2 years. That is a fact. Can take 2 years. We are talking about $5 million per kilometer investment, and you are looking for a private sector involvement. So this idea that a private investor will come and invest in a passenger service just for fun is that I normally, whenever I get an opportunity and I'm talking and I say, oh, passenger service is not profitable, people largely say, oh, it's profitable. No, it's not. Globally, passenger service, depending on the funding model, you have to understand that passenger service is a public service obligation. So for a developing nation like Ghana, we need to target our mineral sites or where we can get bulk transport. Because for cargo transport or freight transport is sustainable. You can earn revenue. Case in point, go to Kenya. Kenya government, the cargo service from Mombasa to Nairobi, they earn over $230 million per annum on the cargo. Yes, $230 million per annum. However, they subsidize the passenger service, saving nearly close to $80 million a year.
Because they don't make money on the passenger side.
Exactly.
But they pay. When they board, they pay.
They pay, yes. So let me now use Tema to Mpakadan as a case in point. Let's bring it home. Okay? Tema to Mpakadan, we charge 15 cities from Tema Harbour to Afienya. Okay? And 40 cities from Tema Harbour all the way to Adome. We run 2 services. Okay? Passengers pay that. So on a monthly basis, we earn around 140,000. By my overheads, fuel cost, I pay the fuel in dollars. We use what we call marine fuel. So we pay in dollars. So if you look at the fuel cost, lighting cost, utility, everything, I 2.53 million cities. Take 140,000 from it. The government of Ghana, His Excellency the President, is subsidizing the Tema to Mpakadan by 2.3 million cities every month to keep the passengers moving. However, I am sitting on a contract whereby if the cargo comes, I'm going to charge $8 per ton to move it from, let's say, Akwemu all the way to Tema Port. So, technically speaking, if I'm able to get the cargo in Ghana, I'll be earning close to about $340,000 a month from the cargo. Okay, assuming my overhead cost, fuel, everything is costing me $100,000 a month, we are making $240,000, of which I can then crop subsidize to the passenger service. So let me put it this way: Landing Underground, they don't make profit. If you understand the funding model very carefully, okay, it has been structured. The City of London contributes a bit into it. You have got the banks who own the asset. You have the central government contribute a bit to it. So if you look at the subsidy that goes in there, if you count the passenger numbers, you might think, oh, passenger. No. The passenger service is a public service obligation, and basically it serves as a derived demand into the other economies from transportation economic point of view. So people always mistake the fact that, oh, passenger is nice to have. It's a necessity. It provides socio-economic benefit, decongestion of our roads, okay, alternative means of transport. All right, it's essential. But when you are looking at our case as a developing nation, where we have to compete for resources, I have to compete for budget. Okay, it means that I have to be strategic, or the authority has to be strategic to look at blending the cargo service. So the cargo service will then be a cross subsidy to the passenger service. Otherwise, as a developing nation, we cannot sustain that. We cannot. So we need to have a balance of having the cargo at the same time the passenger service. So at the moment, yes, talking about investment, we are looking at investment, but we have also introduced a new railway master plan, which is targeting our mineral resources. Okay, mineral resources. I am not going to say, of course, exporting or raw mineral resources. No. Even if we are thinking about having a refinery, especially bauxite, aluminum, and manganese, it will still have to be transported in bulk cargo. So you need the rail. Okay, so if you look at a new railway master plan together with the board, which has been released in 2026, we are now looking at how we can connect the railway sector to the various mining sites. So if you go to Western Railway Line, for example, Takoradi Port all the way to Hammerley, it goes into 14 mining sites. We are looking at a minimum of about 40 million metric tons per annum. Assuming on average you are charging $10, that's $400 million. That money, $400 million per annum. Of course, I'm talking about raw terms. But return on investment, let's say, assuming you are net profit of about 200 million, this can build the entirety of the 3,200 kilometers of railway lines that we have in Ghana. So now the old master plan, which connects our capital cities, is nice to have. It's a nice to have. Okay, but looking at our developmental goals as a country, we need to say, okay, we are a developing nation. So let's target our bulk transport, whilst we are facing in the passenger service as a necessity. But then again, yes, that is what we are trying to do, and I'm very confident, together with the board chairman of the authority and the board members, and of course the Minister of Transport and the government, we are aggressively seeking for private sector involvement in the railway business, both in the development and the operation. And the operation we have already started at our end at GRDA, where we are introducing open access on the Tema to Impakadan. What it means is simply, we are not going to buy any more locomotives. So if you are a private sector...
You have enough?
Yes, I think the government must not seek to create another GRCA problem. We must look at how best we will then be able, the government will just create the enabling environment. The president made it clear. You see, when government dominates, private sector sits back. So this way, for Tema to Impakadan, all right, if we are only buying 2 locomotives and 20 wagons for a start, however, private sector operators will be allowed to come on board. Buy your locomotive, we will share our off-take agreement with you, then you start hauling. That way, the overhead costs will not largely sit with the government. And when they also start, and that's what we call open access. When we grant them a license, they will pay what we call track access charges. The track access charges is what we are going to use to maintain the line, at the same time, take care of the overheads of the workforce. And therefore, technically, if you look at it, if you have got about nearly 4 operators on the line, you don't need the government to, I don't need to go into Ministry of Finance begging for money to pay the railway workers. It will be about creating some sort of sustainability on the railway line that can take care of it. So we are introducing the open access on the Tema to Impakadan. That is immediate. I have about 4 applications, but people have applied for licenses. We are going through that. I'm going to consult with the board, and of course, we are going to agree a fee, and we allow the private sector participation to come on board. These are some of the practices that we have to do. So while seeking the private investment, we need to also be practical in our approach. In terms of what we can do now to make sure we can have a sustainable system. But by and large, Ghana railway sector is picking up. We are roaring, but of course, when you have not paid certain people, the bad news seems to overshadow the good news. But this government, His Excellency the President Mohammed's government, is making sure, at least if nothing at all, we are breathing life into the railway sector.
But the workers are aware of the challenges that you just outlined to me. Are they aware of all these challenges?
Yes, the workers are aware of the challenges that we are facing in terms of, let's say, in terms of obsolete assets, lack of maintenance strategy, which is of course that, poor maintenance practices, and of course, and I don't blame them, and also investment. Okay, investment work this way in simple asset management terms. If your maintenance strategy, regardless of the investment that someone threw, like I made Tema to Impakadan. Tema to Impakadan was ceremonially commissioned in November 2024. When we came into government and we did the inspection, 6 kilometers of the fastness and boat were all gone, removed. So the train couldn't move on. And this asset was not even a year old. So we had to raise internally generated funds to do the repair before we were able to run the passenger, before we were able to operate the line in October 2025.
But then again, if you bring in the investors, are they going to face the same challenges?
Yes,
for instance, the removal of this, and recently we've heard that, or we've seen videos and pictures of how galamseyers are even destroying rail lines. If you bring these investors in, won't they face those same challenges?
Of course, we are working in terms of theft, vandalism of the line, and of course, Tema to Impakadan. We've had nearly 5 stone attack.
Yeah,
5 stone attack on a Tema to Impakadan. You see, it's a cultural shift. You know, we can trace, some of them are internal sabotage. I don't want to talk about it. Others are external sabotage, whereby the police and the security agencies are looking into it. The key thing is that, yes, for every sector, especially the railway, we shouldn't allow that to deter us. I gave you the figures of Kenya. I'm not going to say UK or any Europe, or I said Kenya. If you look at the vibrant, you go to Kenya and look at the how strategically the railway is changing how people are doing business in East Africa, and now they have managed to ring fence the revenue from the cargo. The revenue from the cargo to extend the SGR to the border of Uganda. Okay, so we need to understand that while challenges remain, Sammy, we need to also look at the positives. I am confident that Tema to Impakadan, yes, we are facing challenges, but we are not going to give up. We are still going to go. The moment we introduce the cargo, the narrative will change, because the authority of the railway sector will be able to raise its own revenue. Okay, then we have to then be able to channel that revenue into the other various activities, such as fencing. Okay, having a fence wall to prevent people from encroaching the line, and of course having the proper CCTV camera along the line, and having 24-hour monitoring evaluation on the line to make sure that people are not encroaching.
Have you given yourself some timelines?
Yes, in terms of timeline, we are now doing the fencing on Tema to Impakadan. We are almost, it's in progress. We are still having challenges with some of the community members. Some of us are saying, oh, we are going to block them. You see, the thing is, and when you go to Tulaku, today they blocked us. So my officer has to go there, talk to them. My director has to go there, speak to them nicely to allow them to construct the wall.
Reason?
We are
is
blocking.
Their land?
It's not with their land. We are blocking the animals. The cows normally cross the railway line, so we are blocking them. So look, largely, let me be honest with you. The government is putting in place what we call mitigation measures, such as fencing, which we are doing. Occasionally as well, we do what we call community sensitization program with our head of corporate affairs, Saadatu, and the team. They are doing amazing well by talking to the people and the communities, trying to educate them. The challenge here is that it's much more of culture, okay, that we have to do to make sure that our railway lines are protected. Talking about Galamsey, also, we've written to NIAMOS to seek their protection. And I want to use the opportunity to commend Commander Abuakra in Western Region. He deployed police officers to the Western Region, to the newly constructed Standard Gauge railway line, to protect it from people, what we call galamseyers, who wanted to dig the newly constructed infrastructure for gold. Okay, so this aspect cannot be, it's a national problem. And at the moment, as much as I want to focus, on that, I don't want the big picture is that my mandate is to ensure that at least railways are moving, trains are moving, cargo is moving, and we are providing alternative means of transport to what we have, which is road. And that's what I want to do.
Doc, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Frederick Apo, CEO of the Ghana Rail Development Authority, my guest tonight on Point Blank. That's a wrap up today's edition of Eyewitness News that came to you live from our studios here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafi. Earlier you heard Ajibi Wiafi Akinton. Show produced by Kwabna Wilson, Beverly London, and Juliana Odami, with technical assistance from Emmanuel Latte. So we'll come your way again. May the good Lord be with us all.